What is good, guys? This is Steven with All Talk On, and today I have another build, yet another one. This is my second one today and my fourth one this weekend, so I'm pushing them out like crazy. I actually had a request from one of my very plentiful subscribers, and he asked me to build a build with an i5. Now, I want to go ahead and throw this out there right now. The reason I do not use the i5 is because I do a lot of budget builds and basically try to get you guys the best performance for the absolute lowest price that I can get. The i5 at a $200 processor does not work its way into there, and you guys have to understand that the cheapest i5 is, I think, $174, which is definitely not the easiest thing to fit in. Yeah, 174.99 for the Core i5 4430, which is a good processor, but it's already $174. Like I said, that's, and then on top of that, I'm not going to pair one of these $200 processors with a 280X, or not 280X, a 260X, and I'm not going to pair it with a 750 Ti just to make a budget, because that's a waste of money. Why would you spend all that money on the i5 unless you're planning to come in on some money and buy a $300 graphics card shortly after, or 250 at least? The i5 is not really the best thing to buy. It's not a budget build at all. As well as, if you do want the overclocking ability on the i5, you need to get a K series Core i5, and you're looking at the 4670K right now is the cheapest one they have, and it's at $229. That's just why I do not use the i5 in any of my builds. It's because it is a very expensive part to try to fit in to a budget build, especially $500, $600. It's just not really going to make its way in there, guys. You can't spend half your money on the processor and then blow $120 on your graphics card. That's a waste, because that processor is way too cool for that $120 graphics card. It's just, you could definitely go for a lower processor and get a way better card and still have good compatibility between the two, and have way better graphical performance from that. Now, this will perform better than the cheaper CPUs, but as far as graphics goes, you're going to be held back by a limited graphics card. So keep that in mind. That's why I don't use the i5s, but I did have a request, so I try to get the closest to a budget, cheap i5 build that I could, and we are looking at $700, and what is that, $10 subtraction for a promo discount right now, and shipping of $13.47 for a total of $704.42. That is the absolute cheapest I could get. Like I said, you guys, these i5s are very cheap. At least I could go cheaper, but I'm not trying to skimp completely, and there are some ridiculous sales on right now. So without these sales, we'd be looking at a $30-$40 jump. Anyways, you guys, and that's another thing, I'm not going to get an i5 and get the $40 motherboard. Like, that's just ridiculous. Don't do that stuff, you guys. Pair your parts up to where they're able to, I guess, I don't know, the compatibility with each other. Of course, they'll be compatible, but as far as performance-wise, make sure that it aims up. If you're going to get a $200 processor, don't get a $30 motherboard, $40 motherboard, unless it's on sale. You know what I mean? Don't cheap out like that. Get a decent chipset on your motherboard, get your decent RAM, and make sure your graphics cards can fit in there. So like I said, if you're planning to build a budget gaming PC, don't choose an i5. I hate to tell you guys that. But first things first, we have the CPU. I went with the Intel Core i5 4570. Now, this is basically not the cheapest i5 out there, but it's only a few dollars more. Right now there's a $10 promotion that subtracts $10 off the price for off of $194.99 with $4.99 shipping, for a total of $189.98. So this is basically $10 under $200. And this is not overclockable. It's only a 4570. It's not the K series. It has a clock speed of 3.2 gigahertz. It is a quad core processor. This honestly is an amazing processor as it is. You don't need to overclock it. You'll be perfectly fine on this. It's on the LGA 1150 socket, which is the same as the Pentium, and the 4690K if you do want to upgrade to something that can overclock, but that's $400 just to overclock, get an overclock on an i5. That's a bit ridiculous, you guys. So that's the processor. It's a great processor, a very, very good processor. The i5s are definitely one of the best out there for gaming. hands down. So that's it, you guys. I threw the Core i5 in their $200 processor. Next we have the motherboard. This motherboard is still on sale. I did just buy it. It's $59.99 at Newegg right now, with a $10 mail-in rebate as well and free shipping. But I keep it at $59.99. I would suggest going for the $10 mail-in rebate. I will be doing that. But it's on the Z87 chipset, which means that it is on the overclockable motherboard. It was made for gaming and overclocking on. Granted, there are, like I've said in my other video, they did release a BIOS update that allowed other motherboards not on the Z chipset type to be able to overclock on them. Or they made it to where you could overclock on them. But this one is literally made for it and made for gaming. I picked it because honestly it has USB 3.0 and it's on sale right now. I didn't pick it for the overclocking feature. That is just something it happened to come with. But mostly because how cheap it is, how it's on a decent chipset, and it does support RAID, max memory 32 gigabytes, DDR3 speeds from 1066 to 2400 megahertz, as well as crossfire support, and SATA 6 gigabit per second, 6 ports, and of course, like my favorites, the USB 3.0 header. So basically, I went with this card, with this thing first, mostly just for its price, because it's an absolutely amazing motherboard for only $60, you guys. Very, very nice. Then, you know, I don't know. It's the, oh wait, I didn't get the whole name, MSI Z87 G41 PC Mate. Okay, so that's what we're looking at for this one. The next we have is the G-Skill RAM, 8 gigabytes, 2x4 DDR3 1600 megahertz. This is the G-Skill Airy series. Now, right now, this is also on sale, $59.99 with free shipping. You guys, $60 for 8 gigabytes of RAM with a CAS latency of 9. An amazing sale right now for this. If you guys want to pick up RAM, now is not a bad time. It also has a black PCB board, which looks actually really cool with the black and orange, you guys. So check those out. $59.99 with free shipping from Newegg. Not a bad deal for 8 gigabytes of RAM. Next, we have the hard drive. This is the 1 terabyte Hitachi UltraStar hard drive. I had to pick a cheaper hard drive. We're looking at $39 with $4.49 shipping for a total of $43.49. It is 7200 RPM, 30 megabyte cache, 1 terabyte in capacity, and is SATA 3 gigabit per second standard hard drive. You guys give it a try. Let Hitachi know how that they are doing a good job with their hard drives. Next we have the graphics card. Now this is what I'm saying, I had to pick a decent graphics card to pair with this i5, because otherwise buying that i5 is pretty pointless. So we're looking right now at the Zotac 770, okay, the GTX 770. Now this is a 2 gigabyte of GDDR5, a 1.5 gigahertz clock speed. It's got those CUDA cores for some video editing, and it is just, it's an amazing graphics card. I do wish that the motherboard did support SLI, but like I said, I just couldn't fit it in there with like grabbing those more expensive motherboards that support it. This motherboard, not only was it on a great chipset, as well as it's just an overall great motherboard, it was really cheap. That's why I picked it. The ones that were roughly the same, how do I want to put it? Roughly the same quality of just overall parts on it was a little bit more expensive when they started to include SLI with it. Now, if they had an SLI one on sale, I would have gone for that one, because you have a GeForce card, an NVIDIA card. So that's the graphics card. It's a 770, you guys. That's going to stomp out the competition with gaming. Like, it's not a 780, it's not a 970, it's not a 980, and it's not a Titan, but it is definitely a monster of a graphics card, you guys. So don't even worry about your gaming. This and the i5 will totally dominate anything you can throw at it. Keep that in mind. This is an amazing build. And of course you're paying for it with that $700 price point. So next we have the case. Once again, I picked this Deepcool Tesseract SW. I've been constantly picking this case. This is probably the third or fourth build I've done with this case, and that is because for $30 this has the most features that I could throw into a case. And on top of it, I'm really, you know what I mean, I'm a budget builder, you guys. I always try to squeeze as much out of the price, and the one place I see that you can squeeze the most out of is the case, because honestly, as long as it's got decent airflow and you don't exactly hate the way it looks, you can go as cheap as possible on these things, you guys. So I went with the $30 case, of course, and honestly, for $30, this thing is amazing. It's an ATX mid-tower. It's got 2 LED fans that it comes with, supports ATX, micro ATX, and mini ITX motherboard sizes, has front panel USB 3.0, as well as a maximum card length of 12.20. So our card length on our Zotac is only 10.47 inches, so we'll definitely be able to fit that in there. Last but not least, we have the EVGA power supply. I went with an 80 plus Braun 600 watt. We are at about 413 watts. I always overshoot it. I'm not going to recommend you guys go under. It's never a good idea. Once again, another thing in this build that kind of just took a little bit of money out of it because you want the better stuff. It is not modular at all. Good luck with all those cords if you do look into buying one of these. I like to opt out a lot for modulars, or at minimum semi-modular. We're looking at $59.99 from Newegg, with free shipping. So yeah, there's also a mail-in rebate. You guys should always check out the mail-in rebates. Like I said, not included in the price, but definitely something you should go towards. So that is my i5 build for my one subscriber that wanted me to do it, and because he's a subscriber and I appreciate every single one of my 10 subscribers, I'm gonna do stuff like that. You guys want to make make a suggestion or let me know something, just leave it in the comments, man. And as long as it's not too major of an inconvenience for me, I will get to it as soon as possible, because I'm going to do that. Like literally, I read his comment asking me for an i5, immediately went to PC Parts Picker and started building one. 10 minutes later, I'm recording the audio for it. I don't do scripts and whatnot. I just talk off my brain. So yeah, I mean, like I said, this is an amazing gaming PC. This will destroy practically any game you can throw at it, you guys. No problem at all. The i5 is very good. Even though it's only got 4 cores, it still does amazing with multitasking and stuff like that. It will render videos and all that good stuff, and you do have the GeForce card, which will definitely be helping out with those CUDA cores. It's a great computer, but like I said, the reason I never build these is because you guys can get roughly the same performance out of this as one of my other builds, that the $650 one, or even some of the $500 builds will keep up with the games that this is. Of course, this is going to give you higher frame rates, as well as if you want a 4K game, not necessarily 4K, but higher resolution gaming, this will definitely start, get you on your way towards that. But I mean, if you're just going to be 1080p gaming, this is kind of overkill. That's why I never do these big ass builds like this. I mean, that's $704 is a bigger price tag for basically the same, not the same performance. I'm not going to lie, it's nowhere near the same performance, but you're not really going to notice it. You know what I mean? It's not like you're going to be sitting there with a 60 megahertz monitor with Vsync on, so you're getting 60 FPS, and you're going to notice that you're getting more FPS with the the Intel Core i5. It's not, I mean, you may notice less dips, I guess you would say, but honestly, if you have a powerful enough system, you don't notice dips too much. The Vsync, like I don't really see any dips even when I have my recording on and I have an AMD processor. So, but I mean, unless you turn that Vsync off, you're not really going to have to worry about how many frames. I mean, 120 frames when you only have a 60 megahertz monitor is not going to do any good for you guys. Even if you know what I mean. There's no point. You might as well just stick to what can get you what your monitor is going to put out anyways. But like I said, it was requested, and overall, it's a great build. Have fun with it, dude. Do what you guys want. Take out what you want. Put in what you want. Oh yeah, I want to mention also, I'm not sure if the 770 has it, but I know that they came out, NVIDIA has their new technology with basically like a smart Vsync. Crap, I can't remember the name for it now. But basically what it does is it turns Vsync on, so you get the synchronization of frames to your monitor rate. If you guys don't know what Vsync is, check out a Vsync video on YouTube. But to give you a short explanation, your monitor is most likely going to be a 60 megahertz monitor, or 120 or 144. But let's just say you have a 60 megahertz monitor. My graphics card right now will be putting out 170 frames, 120 frames, 150 frames depending on the game. Now, my monitor can only show 60 frames per second. So why is my graphics card going to throw 120 frames at it? What you end up getting is screen tearing. Basically, it's when the monitor refreshes two or more images at the same time, and you get this little weird, it kind of looks like tearing, but it looks more like a kind of like a weird like phasing line, like shooting up through your screen at times. It's kind of weird, but basically Vsync is to prevent that. The issue with Vsync is it locks your frames. Say your monitor is 60 megahertz, 60 frames per second. It'll lock your frames at 60 frames per second. Now, when you lock your frames at 60 frames per second, you hit a dip. Say something intense goes on, your frames drop to 45. You get that skip. That's the issue with Vsync. Now, the cool part about the new GeForce NVIDIA technology that they're coming out with is basically it's a smart automated Vsync that turns itself off when the frames start to dip below, but turns itself back on when the frames go too high. So that's definitely something to look forward to NVIDIA stuff, as well as their CUDA cores. So that's my $700 build for you guys, and a little bit of input on some random stuff that you guys might know. This is Steven with All Talk On, and I'll catch you guys later.